Hello there, little friends. Today I'm going to tell you a wonderful story about courage, friendship, and believing in yourself. This story takes place in a beautiful green forest, filled with tall trees, colorful flowers, and the sweet sound of birds singing in the morning. In the middle of this forest flowed a clear, sparkling river. The animals of the forest loved this river because it gave them fresh water every single day. Near the river, in a cozy little cave under a big oak tree, lived a small bear named Bruno. Bruno was a kind and gentle little bear. He loved playing with his friends, exploring the forest, and watching butterflies fly through the warm sunlight. But Bruno had one small problem. He didn't believe he was brave or strong. You see, Bruno was still young, and whenever the older animals talked about doing big and important things, Bruno always thought to himself, "Oh, I'm just a little bear. I can't do something like that." One bright morning, Bruno walked down to the river to meet his friends. There was Ruby the rabbit, who could hop faster than the wind. There was Tom the turtle, who was slow but very wise. And there was Lily the little bird, who loved to sing cheerful songs. The friends were playing hide and seek near the trees, when suddenly they heard a deep voice from above. "Hoo, hello down there." They looked up and saw Oliver the old owl sitting on a tree branch. Oliver was the wisest animal in the forest. Whenever there was a problem, the animals often asked him for advice. Ruby the rabbit asked, "Hello, Oliver. What are you doing up there?" Oliver looked serious and said, "My young friends, I have some important news. There's a problem on the other side of the forest." The animals stopped playing and listened carefully. Tom the turtle slowly asked, "What kind of problem?" Oliver spread his wings and explained, "A large tree has fallen across the small river that flows into our main river. The water can't move properly anymore. If we don't fix it soon, many animals in the forest might not get enough water." The friends looked worried. Ruby said, "That sounds serious." Lily the bird fluttered her wings nervously. Tom thought for a moment and said, "The tree must be very big. Moving it will be difficult." Everyone became quiet. Then slowly, their eyes turned toward Bruno. Bruno blinked in surprise. "Me?" he said softly. "Oh no, I can't do that. I'm still just a little bear." Oliver the owl tilted his head and spoke gently. "Bruno, strength is not only about how big you are. Courage and determination are also kinds of strength." Bruno looked at his friends. They all seemed hopeful. Lily chirped, "If we all work together, maybe we can do it." Ruby nodded quickly. "Yes, we can help too." Bruno took a deep breath. His heart was beating fast. But finally he said, "Well, maybe we can try." His friends cheered with excitement. So the small group of friends began their journey across the forest. The path was not easy. They walked over small rocks, around bushes, and through tall grass that swayed in the wind. Lily flew above them to guide the way. After a while, they finally reached the small river. And there it was. A huge tree had fallen across the water, blocking the flow completely. The river was trying to push through, but it couldn't move freely. Tom looked carefully at the tree. "We need a plan," he said wisely. Lily flew up into the air. "I'll watch from above and tell you where to push." Ruby hopped around the tree. "I'll clear the small branches." Tom began slowly moving some loose stones near the river. Then Bruno stepped forward. He looked at the giant tree. For a moment, he felt nervous again. "What if I can't move it?" he thought. But then he remembered what Oliver had said. Courage is also a kind of strength. Bruno placed his paws against the tree trunk and pushed. Nothing happened. The tree didn't move at all. Bruno sighed. "I told you I'm not strong enough." But Ruby quickly shouted, "Don't give up." Tom said calmly, "Try again. Sometimes big things take time." From above, Lily called out, "Come on, Bruno, one more try." Bruno closed his eyes and took a deep breath. Then he pushed again. This time, the tree moved just a little. Everyone gasped with excitement. "It moved," Ruby shouted. Bruno felt a spark of hope. He pushed harder. Slowly, very slowly, the giant tree began to roll toward the side of the river. And then suddenly, splash! The tree slid away from the water. Immediately, the river began to flow freely again. Fresh water rushed through the forest with a cheerful bubbling sound. The friends jumped up and down with joy. "You did it, Bruno!" Ruby cheered. Lily flew in circles above his head. "That was amazing." Tom smiled slowly and said, "See, even a little bear can do big things." Bruno's face lit up with a big happy smile. For the first time, he truly believed in himself. Soon many other animals came to see what had happened. Deer, squirrels, ducks, and birds gathered near the river. They all thanked Bruno and his friends for fixing the problem. Finally, Oliver the owl flew down and landed on a nearby branch. He looked at the young animals and said, "Today we all learned something important." The animals listened quietly. Oliver continued, "Never think you are too small to make a difference. When you believe in yourself and work together with friends, even the biggest problems can be solved." Bruno felt proud, but also thankful for his friends. From that day on, Bruno never called himself just a little bear again, because he knew something very important. Being brave doesn't mean you are the biggest or the strongest. Being brave means you try your best, even when something feels difficult. And from that day forward, whenever the forest needed help, the animals knew one thing for sure. Bruno the little bear would always be ready to help. And that, little friends, is how a small bear discovered the courage that was inside him all along. Moral of the story: believe in yourself. Even small acts of courage can make a big difference.